This is another day on your program, right on here with Yoruba Referendum. And remember that this program is tagged True Federalism Alpha, and we're talking about Nigeria. I have with me, as always, Alagba May or Dedeyin from Yoruba Referendum Committee. You are welcome on board, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again. Thank you.
All right, we are kicking off on a very high note because of the current happenings, especially coming from Oyo State, Ogbomoso area. However, before we get into that, during the course of the week, I was having a discussion with someone about referendum in Yoruba land, the Yoruba referendum bill that has been submitted to the 6 Southwest Houses of Assembly for them to pass the bill into law. The person seems to suggest that, no, you don't do that when you have someone from your nationality as the president. So I was actually asking the person, so you will do it when it's somebody that is not from your nationality.
Yes.
So, but just so that it's not just my own views, if you look at the history of Nigeria, different agitations that has been carried out by different nationality. Let's talk about the Niger Delta and all the other ones. Do you see the trend where people tend to only agitate when someone from their region is the president, or when someone that is not from their region is the president? Is there a strategy there that agitation for, let's say, referendum or whatever other name that is called, that is meant to, that is a strategy that will be targeted at which nationality is the president?
I don't think so. Well, two things. Number one, the agitations have definite basis. You know, whether we call it resource control or self-determination or even autonomy or sovereignty. All these were linked with the process of independence, Nigeria's independence from colonial rule. We recall, even during the negotiations for independence, the British were forced to set up what they call the Willings Commission.
Right.
It was that Willings Commission that now talked about minority rights, because the action group was agitating for minority rights, creating of more states and all that. So they established the Willings Commission, which also gave room for the minorities. They call it the Minority Bill of Rights and stuff like that. So since that time, there have been this continuous agitation. And we remember when the Civil War, the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War was going to start, we remember that the so-called minorities in the South, what they now call South, and Niger Delta, they were very much opposed to the Biafran declaration. And so they came to the side of the federal government, which allowed the Nigerian military to move into that area. And then, of course, at that time, it was not a question of who was in power. It was a question of the agitation that had predated even military intervention. And we also remember the Middle Belt, you know, the thief crisis and all that were happening even under the northern, when they were under the northern region. And of course, the Midwest agitation also in the West. So all these things came around over when the military now took over. Generally, each section now sought to agitate for itself within that military rule. So, and of course, we know who are in control of military rule. Muritala Mohammed, Obasanjo, what's his name again?
Danjuma, was that Danjuma?
Danjuma, Babangida, Abacha, and all the rest.
So,
Yes,
Yaradua,
all
same
in
here.
favor of sustaining what we call the Northern hegemony in power. So everything was directed against that center. So whoever was in the center, that is as president, regardless of where he comes from, I won't say she because there was no she in the presidency.
Yeah.
Wherever he came from, the agitation would be against that person. Now, when it now comes to, okay, in terms of who, when Obasanjo became civilian president in 1979 and 1999, it didn't stop the development of OPC, which started under military rule, to continue its agitation. Of course, at the
Mm-hmm.
political, partisan level, the when they try to impeach Obasanjo, the AD people who are mainly from Yoruba land supported him. They opposed the impeachment because, according to them, he is one of them, not knowing that he's going to destroy them later, but he did.
Mm.
So now, when he left, when they talk about Boko Haram and all the rest, I think it started under, was it not, what's his name? Musa Yaradua, I think 2009, or something like, which carried over onto
Yeah.
Jonathan and
Yeah.
still where it is today. And even all during those times with Jonathan, with all of them, you still have these militants in the Niger Delta. They call them militants in the Niger Delta who are demanding resource control for the Niger Delta. And in fact, one of the strategic appointments that Jonathan made at that time was this man. He was the leader of the Chicana or Chikoko movement, Oronto Douglas, who was
Yeah.
a leader of the resource control movement in the Niger Delta. The guy died, while he was in office. So I don't see it as whether. So when this guy said, "Oh, okay, when our guy is there, we shouldn't do it. We should do it." So that mentality is like, looking at the agitation for self-determination or resource control or anything as a bargaining weapon,
Mm.
not as an end in itself, not as a necessary demand. They look at it from the perspective of using it to harass whoever is in power
Right.
to get whatever. No, so, and that is one of the reasons why I think most of the efforts failed, because the most of the agitators, especially the leading,
Yes, sir.
excuse me, most of the leading activists at that time regard Abuja, not, that is the center, not as a not they see it as a partner, not as a challenge to them. So they, when they call them, like they settle the militants in the Niger Delta, I think it was Yaradua who disarmed them and
Yeah,
gave
it
them
started
this
from
and
right.
that.
Yeah.
And then the rest, they went into getting contracts and all the rest. And then, of course, we know what happened to OPC in our
Mm-hmm.
region. So the moment we start looking at those agitations as being based on who is in power or who is not in power, the
Yes.
less chances of our success, because these agitations have their own inherent reasons for being agitated for. So I won't
Mm.
say, whoever is in power might use, let's say President Tinubu is in power now, and then all the agitation in the West about Yoruba nation and all that, he can then say, look, oh, don't, don't harass me with this agitation. No. Don't let our enemies run me out. Oh. Okay,
Right.
fine. Even if he says that, then our response will be no problem, but you also need to satisfy us. You have to do
Mhm.
this, and this, not just to sustain you in power. Because to sustain you in power requires a change in the constitutional order that allows what they call the cabal to mess around with anybody. Everybody talks about cabal, 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 cabal. So it is erroneous, in my view, that whoever is in power, from wherever
Yeah.
he comes from, dictates the pace of the agitation or the necessity for the agitation.
Mhm.
The agitation has its own independent basis for existence, regardless of who is in power. And
Oh,
if we use the occupant of the office as a barometer of what we do, that is a guaranteed source of failure.
really.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, sir. Now let's go into the report coming from Oyo State.
Right.
Some students, pupils actually, because they are from primary school,
Yeah.
uh, and their teachers were abducted, I think about 14 days ago now. Many people have said many things, as is expected, about what should have been done and what should be done now. Even people are sharing what they call their own intel on social media and what they think they should do when they know clearly that we've even seen some of these bandits and terrorists having been on social media as well and also promoting their trade. There has been a sort of a blame game for a while between the Oyo State government and then the presidency. And people will always say also that the governor is the chief security officer of the state. He's been collecting security
Security
votes,
votes.
while the people that are on the side of the state will say, well, the governor might be the chief security officer of the state, but is not constitutionally empowered to give instructions or something, maybe to the a certain hierarchy of the military or the police in order to deal with insecurity. But at the point where I want us to pick it from, and then we'll strip it down, the governor made a mention about state police. And what he said, it was quite foundational,
Yeah.
because I know that on this program, you've always mentioned about if Yoruba had a referendum and they control their own space, then they will decide what happens.
Yeah.
So the governor of your state, Sheyi Makinde, was saying that the state police, that the presidency could have allowed them to go through the state houses of assembly to pass a bill to set up a state police instead of the presidency directing or suggesting that the state police will be set up by the IGP, the Inspector General of Police.
Police.
What do you see to this? Because we're now talking about constitution, we are
Yeah.
now talking about powers, devolutions of powers, or the retention of power.
Yeah. Yeah, as we have been saying, and as you rightly say, we have been saying these things all along. And it's good that a sitting governor is saying almost the same thing. Of course, all the governors will say that they are just glorified chief security officers. They don't control this, they don't control that. But he took it a step further by saying it's a constitutional matter, it's a political matter, not just a bureaucratic thing. Okay, which is true and accepted. So, but the question is, what steps are they taking to advance that constitutional matter? So when the federal government now talks about state police, which has become a slogan
Mhm.
for as if you have a designation called state police, every problem will disappear. And that is not the case. So what we are saying is that security is essentially a local issue. And then the people in the locality must be able to be part of that architecture. So it's not even a question of the slogan, state police. It's a question of whether we, as a people, have a right, an inherent right, to advance our security interests. And he is saying, okay, they should have asked the governors to do this. I mean, they should have asked the state assemblies to do this and do that. But he also said when they were doing when they were starting Amotekun, the assemblies also gathered and then did what they did. So there's nothing stopping them as governors from carrying out what he suggested. That is, let the state assemblies come together and then decide on regional policing. And it's very easy for them to do now, even if we limit it to policing, because you have a Amotekun that was created by your own laws. So all you need to do is to transform that Amotekun into a regular regional police force. And that is where the constitutional issue comes in, because you can't do that without changing or at least amending the Nigerian constitution. So, and what we are saying is, okay, so once we know that is the path that is necessary, then let us change the Nigerian constitution by asking the people in the regions and all that in a referendum what they want to do. So instead of the National Assembly going around all the states and doing this and doing that and making all kinds of arrangements, let the people in their localities make the decision themselves. That is what we think it should be the next step we think they should take now, because it is very clear. He didn't say anything new. He just added a step, a layer to the problem, and that layer is that the role of the state houses of assemblies. Now, the question now is, if the state, like I said earlier, the state assemblies pass the law on Amotekun, although he accused Lagos of not being part of it and all that, so they can come back to the same state assemblies and transform Amotekun into a regular regional police force. Now, we have Amotekun is there, the Nigeria Civil Society Defense or NSDC or
Civil
whatever,
defense.
civil defense is there, the legionnaires, all these quasi security agencies officially they exist. So all they need to do is to know how to harmonize all of them into a single outfit in a regional manner. And so that's the challenge we are posing to him actually, that you are the governor, you are a sitting governor, and you have the capacity and capability to influence, engage your House of Assembly and also other governors. Even if they don't agree with you, let the people know that this is what you have done. Then, because the templates, everything is there. It was just like Akeredolu when they started the Amotekun campaign. He was bold enough to challenge the then Attorney General, and then because before they arrived at the excuse me, they arrived at the compromise, which led to Amotekun. So he's on a solid ground if he wants to move in that direction.
Mhm.
Yes.
Would it have been, even as it is now, although probably it's something that you could have done earlier,
Mhm.
where the houses of assembly would have had a sort of a discussion on a bill
Yeah.
that if the state police comes through, that they would draft in the sort of security structure they already have within the states, or
No, they
would that
don't.
be like putting the cart before the
Before the
horse?
horse, yeah. They don't even need to talk about state police. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why I called it a slogan. There's no, you see, they have reduced everything to what can come from Abuja. from the center, and then we start fighting over the crumbs. No, security is an internal matter, and we have the legislative ability to address it. So whether we now call it Yoruba State Police or we call it regional police or whatever it is we call it, it wouldn't matter. But because Abuja has decided on the slogan, state police, every state is now running around trying to key into the structure. And that is a wrong approach. What they should simply have done is to recalibrate Amotekun into a regional police force. Excuse me. Sorry, under the weather, as we say in England, I'm under the weather. Yeah, sorry.
Right. So if it's let's say they transform Amotekun to a regional police, because I mean it's existing in almost about 5 of the 6 southwest states. But then that would be under the control of the states, because for now Amotekun is not under the control of the federal government.
No. Yeah, it will be under the control of the regional administration, the state administration. Yeah, so that's why I said whether they call it regional police force or Yoruba police force or Southwest police, whatever name. But this whole idea of state police is just a slogan, because as long as it is tied to the Nigeria Police Force and the Inspector General of Police, it's a slogan for the states to have something to chew on. And then another layer of bureaucracy. They don't even have judicial powers. They can't take people to court on their own. They see, I mean, I'm talking about both Amotekun and the state police.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now, going further on that, we had a report that the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, then Gbajabiamila, and then I think the secretary to the president, Dede Alake, that they went to the area where the incident took place. And a report is coming out that the NSA is suggesting, whether it's an order or a suggestion or a proposal, for 1,000 forest guards to be recruited. What do you see to this? Because let me quickly break it down. So we're talking about state police, which has yet to materialize. We've got civil defense. We've got Amotekun. We have obviously the local vigilantes and hunters who actually went after those kidnappers until when they started using IED bomb before they pull back. So bringing in 1,000 forest guards that will obviously not be under the control of the state government, because I don't think the forest guards that were hired by the federal government, so they are not under the control of the state government. It doesn't make any difference apart from the number and another level of bureaucracy.
It's another level of bureaucracy, and it doesn't, sorry to use the strong word, it doesn't make any sense. Number one, there's no reason for them to make any visits if proper security arrangements are in place. Why should the chief of staff, the NSA, and all those big guys in Abuja come to visit that locality after the fact? It is simply because there is an absence of internal local security mechanism. So it's all part of the what I would call the big showmanship, because it won't affect anything. The president gave his orders. He has been giving orders, or even in the north. Go and flush them out. Go and kill them. Go and do this. Go and do that. And nothing seems to be happening. So now they now come, and then now he says, we need to recruit 1,000 people for you. No. what he should have done, let's even assume that it is okay, the visit is okay, even though I don't see it as okay. But let us assume that it is okay. What he should have asked the people, what do you want?
Mhm.
Not that we are going to hire people for you. What do you
Yeah.
want? And I'm almost sure that the people will tell him, strengthen our local security
And local.
agencies.
Yeah.
That's what
Mhm.
I'm almost sure that's what it, but they don't want to hear that. They know it, but they don't want to hear it. Because when you now appoint or appoint 1,000 forest guards to be running around and be controlling them from Abuja, where from the center itself, what we have been hearing from even the defense guy, he said they need to be the repentance. We need repentant people, terrorists. We need
Mhm.
to rehabilitate them. So when even the terrorists are hearing all these things from the top leadership of the country, it emboldens them. And then you want to hire 1,000 rangers to go and fight those that are already emboldened by official doctrine. The last time we discussed this, I mentioned it was something about doctrine,
Yes.
that the problem is not even about weapons and all that, because the weapons will serve a purpose. It is once you determine the purpose that the kind of weapons you need will be required. So if you have a functional regional security system, no bandit will come with superior weapons, because you have the ability to get superior weapons on your own, in terms of training and all that. So the doctrine matters. And that's why I said the visit is unnecessary. It's just showmanship. Why should the NSA, National Security Advisor, and the Chief of Staff of the President visit a place? I mean, out of, even if you want to call it humanitarian sympathy, empathy, and all the rest of it, but then that shouldn't make it a news item, even if we want to do
Mhm.
it that way. And then if you want to make it really tangible, like I said, all you need to do is to ask the people what they want and give them the firm assurance that you will do it. Not to go to them and still pontificate to them failed policies that you are doing. The last time, I think it was in Kwara State, some forest guards were killed now by the
Yeah.
bandits.
Mhm.
So the fact that you have forest guards by itself does not even address the problem. So, but I think we should grow beyond all these what they call, which I will call security palliatives, as they have electoral palliatives, so where they
Mhm.
distribute rights for election and all that and all that. So all these things are palliatives. They have not addressed the issue, and I think our people should be more vocal in getting Governor Seyi Makinde to act on his own assumptions. What are his assumptions? He said it's a political matter, it's a constitutional matter, and the houses of assembly ought to be involved, something along that line. So now let's get him to get started. He's a sitting governor in Oyo State. He can get the assembly in Oyo State to do all the preliminary work, and they can collaborate with other states in the region, so that is the position that will be presented to the federal government. And then when they start doing that, who knows, other states and other communities in Nigeria might see the sense in it and adopt the same methodology, instead of waiting for another bureaucracy or forest guards and all kinds of stuff like that. That these people, these bandits, the so-called bandits and terrorists, they are not yet attacking the federal government. They are attacking military bases and police and all that.
Mhm.
But their essence is in displacing people in the states. So the primary responsibility for security should reside in the states. It is not the center that should come and start dictating how many forest gas we should have, even if we don't want to have forest gas, because we may not even need forest gas if we have control of our environment, because the forest is part of our environment, and the local people will know how to guard and encourage how to guard. And so all the settlements that were in there that had been known to be proliferating all along, with the federal government not doing anything about them, then so even if we are talking about a central intervention, then send your special forces into the forest. We don't need to employ for send your special and clear all the camps, which you know. So whether the terrorists are there or not, just clear the camps, make them homeless, and let them run into the hands of Amotekun while waiting for them outside. So all those things we can talk about that, but I don't think, yeah.
They are getting 1,000
The
forest
1,000 forest
gas
gas.
is
Yeah,
the way to
we
go.
talk a waste of time and waste of resources. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And just picking up on the issue of repentant terrorists, there's a report which came through from Ogun State where a father and a son were arrested. It was stated that the son was one of the, whether it's bandits or terrorists that was jailed, and they believe that after the jail is repented, and then he was back out, and they found out that a ransom that was paid, they found either the bag or the envelope in that side. What's just in about 2 minutes, what's the role of Obas? Because the Obas are the closest people to the communities that are living, to the different nationalities that are living within our community. Our Obas, are they taking up their responsibilities, especially with what has even happened to some of the Obas being kidnapped and some have been killed as well?
Yeah, quickly, I think we are overhyping this idea that the Obas are closest to the people. They are functionally not. The reason why I said that is an Oba is chosen, well, they say the kingmakers will choose them, then the governor will approve and then be installed. So without the approval of the governor, the Oba cannot be installed. So if you have the governor dictating, we know how they do all these things. So if you have the governor dictating who an Oba is, you have already removed the power of the Oba's closeness to the people. Because the person the governor eventually chooses, regardless of how the appointment is made, and we have seen it happen, where kingmakers will nominate someone and the governor will override and all that and all that. So when you have those things happen, those Obas cannot be considered as being closest to the people because they are closest to the appointing authority. That is number one. Number two, they are also beneficiaries. The Obas are also beneficiaries of the same allocation system that operates in Nigeria, where they are part of I think they give them some kind of subvention from the local governments and stuff like that. So, and they are even agitating to be considered to be fourth tier of government. That's a different question. So, I think it's a whole bunch of issues that needs to be addressed. And the more we just keep saying they are closest to the people, they are closest to the people, we are not even addressing their own problem, which is what I have mentioned earlier, that they are beholden to their appointing authorities, not to the people. And by the virtue of that, we cannot say that they are closest to the people.
Right.
So when we address that issue, then we will see.
Okay, thank you so much, Yorubaref May or Dedeyi. Our time is fast spent. People that are viewing us and those that will still view this program, Remember, we are back here next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. at Nigerian time for now. So thank you once again, Alagba Femi Odedeyi. Thank you, those that have been with us. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yes, thank you.